Hi. If you're reading newspapers regularly, you come across a word called constitution. Maybe I'm exaggerating. You definitely would have come across a word called constitution. Laws, acts, regulation, rules. Now, we all hear about what is constitution and what is an act, what is a law, what is a rule, what is a regulation every day. But what exactly is all these words? What exactly is the meaning of all these words? Is what I'm going to disclose right now in a simple layman language. The mother of all the laws in India is called constitution. So the constitution is the thickest form of law. You understand that if you understand it as a product, it's the thickest form. And if you dilute it, you get acts. Like SCST Act, any other act, any other code. Code means it's a compilation of a lot of acts. It's very exhaustive act is called a code. Like civil procedure code, criminal procedure code, insolvency code, etc. So code is much more exhaustive. It's a combination of lot of laws. It's called a code. So the mother of all the law is constitution. That's the thickest form. And if you dilute it a little bit, you get act. For example, Article 21 speaks about right to life. So what is the act that could come from Article 21? The act that could come from Article 21, for example, could be Right to Information Act. So because right to information is also a fundamental right to having fair information, because your life will be dependent on having the fair information, correct information, whatever it is in the government records. So Right to Information Act was born out of right to life, right to freedom. I would say better it could be combination of right to freedom and right to life, Article 19 and 21. So it is a little bit dilution. You get Right to Information Act. And if you dilute it a little bit more, you get a rule. So if a constitution is diluted a little bit, a little part of a constitution is diluted, you get an act. Sometimes you get a regulation also. Regulation and act come under the same level. But act is much more powerful. In my opinion, regulation comes a little bit lower than the act itself. Sometimes regulations are made from the act itself. So, but it is higher than the rule. So, constitution, act, regulation, rule. This is how the hierarchy of the law will be there. And rule is simply procedural. Make it a point here. Please note this point. Rule cannot. Now, law is also of two types. Broadly, it can be categorized as two types. One is the procedural law, and other is the substantial law. Procedural law prescribes the procedure how you have to apply the law. The substantial law is about the rights, what the constitution gave you. Constitution gives you the rights and also asks you to perform some duties. So the rights are given in the substantial law. Rights, punishments, etc. They all come under the substantial law. And the procedural law prescribes the procedure. So every act has it's a combination of both the procedural and the right, the substantial law. See, act is born from the grievance of the public, grievance of the society. For example, Domestic Violence Act. If you could understand a better way, Domestic Violence Act is an act which is born from the domestic violence being faced by the women in India. So, Domestic Violence Act was contemplated from the Constitution. So a little bit of dilution of the constitution, Domestic Violence Act was born. Now that is a act that was created by the parliament. Acts are created by the parliament and in the central level and by the assembly in the state level. And a remedy will also be given in the act. Act has the remedy, appeal of act will have the basic remedy, which is called the remedy at the trial stage, and the appellate remedy also. So act has everything. Act will say what is the right and what is a violation of a right and how you have to get back your right. That is the remedy. And where you should approach, what is the jurisdiction, etc., etc. They all come under the act. Regulation is a subtle difference between act and a rule is something regulation. Regulation also in some stages creates rights. But act is above regulation and regulation is above the rule. That's how you can understand the basic structure of constitution, act, regulation and the rule. If at all you are finding or stumbling with these words, then you should understand this in this context. Thank you. Thanks for watching. I am Prasad. I am an advocate practicing most of my time in High Court of Hyderabad, and I love to create videos like this which could help people who are searching for these kind of questions. If you still have any questions, you kindly comment in the comments section and I will be more than happy to answer all your questions. Bye-bye.